We're hitting the grammar questions pretty early in this section, which is good for the timing of this because as a whole, the grammar questions take less time. So hopefully we can start to go through these pretty quickly, especially if we feel like we spend a lot of time on the passages. But here we want to still figure out, if we can, what grammar rule might be being tested before we really get into the passage. And based on the fact that we have a semicolon, a period, comma, or no comma, it sounds to me like we're going to be thinking about sentence structure. Where do sentences begin and end? Now, normally when I have a semicolon and a period as choices, there is a little bit of a strategy where we can cross both of them out because they mean the same thing. The reason I'm not going to do that here is that we do have both, but they're changing choice C slightly by changing the wording, and that could affect things. So we don't want to cross out semicolons and periods when there's also a word change going on. So we're just going to have to look at all these choices, and we're still evaluating where do sentences begin and end. That's probably what they're testing. So let's take a look. Robin Wall Kimmerer of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation is a bryologist, a plant scientist who specializes in mosses. To Kimmerer, mosses are Earth's most adaptable plants. They can clone themselves, enter a dormant state in times of drought, and grow in areas that don't have soil. Well, as I'm reading this, I see it's a list, so this is just about commas. There's no reason for a sentence here. They can clone themselves is its own sentence. But then the other parts wouldn't be. So it wouldn't make sense to use a semicolon or a period here because those other pieces wouldn't stand alone. They're just kind of like nouns that we're listing here. And we definitely need a comma because that's where the list continues, right? The three parts are they can clone themselves, 1, enter a dormant state in times of drought, 2, and grow in areas that don't have soil, 3. So there are 3 things in this list. This is a pretty basic rule in English language where when you have a list, we use commas to separate things. There are some rules about semicolons with lists, but this is not that. If we did have other semicolons in this list, then we might consider the semicolon here, but that is not how most lists work, so we don't need to worry about that rule. It only comes up very, very rarely. This is a very standard list. Follow the standard rules that you probably use in your writing for school. That's how this is composed. We don't need to make complete sentences at all.